Hey guys, Ryan Earnhardt here from CreativeSoundLab.tv. Well, today we're going to be talking about how to make your cymbals less harsh in your overheads. So my inspiration for this video was from the Pensado student Facebook group, Pensadia, and somebody asked the question, how do we get more drums in the overheads? And I don't know if they were just not miking up the toms or what the exact situation was, but they just wanted less cymbals, more drums. And there was a lot of kind of suggestions on, player technique, maybe some absorption behind the kit if there's any bare walls. There's also a suggestion of maybe using ribbon mics. Those are actually all great suggestions, but there's none that really went the direction that I was immediately thinking. And assuming that you can't change the drummer's style, maybe you're just stuck with it, you don't have time to add absorption, and you don't own ribbon mics, what do you do if you only have large diaphragms? How do you tame some of those cymbals? Really just by using some positioning techniques. So I want to teach you just some tricks with positioning for recording cymbals. Then I also want to show you something really cool you can do if you have multiple polar patterns in your large diaphragm mic. And then also, really what is the difference between using a ribbon and using a condenser, like a small diaphragm, large diaphragm condenser? What does that actually get you? So it may not be the obvious thing to do, and I'm sure most drummers don't play standing up, but if you were to say, walk behind a drum set and actually hit the cymbals while you're standing up, that actually sounds a lot different than if you're sitting at the drum stool. And I've noticed this for a while, and I kind of started playing around with it a few years ago, and I noticed that depending on where the microphone is to the bell of the cymbal, the angle of perspective, you could say, to that cymbal, it actually captures the cymbal a little bit differently. In fact, a lot differently. And so what's crazy about this is that it's almost like there are two nulls, like a source null, not a microphone null, but a null at the source, where sound doesn't really come out of the cymbal at the edge, and sound really doesn't come out of the cymbal towards the bell. It definitely comes out, but say if you were to look at the cymbal from a 45-degree angle, the cymbal will be much louder. So let's just do an experiment, and I'm just going to show you what I'm talking about. Here we have a probably less than ideal condenser microphone, the M179. Great for toms, but they're a little bright for overheads. But still, I'll show you on this pair of microphones here. We're going to first start out with just a mono overhead. And we're just going to go right over the bell of this ride cymbal. And I want you to listen to the tone of the cymbal and the loudness of the cymbal. All of these are the exact same distance. The only change is the angle. Does the pitch change? Does the tone change? Listen to those things in these next few examples. Okay, really interesting. I mean, it actually sounded like the cymbal got higher in pitch. It got harsher. It got more shrill. It got more annoying. And in a mix situation, you'd probably use less of the overheads to get the same amount of cymbal in a mix. Another cool thing about this position right over the bell is that there's a really nice stick attack. It's almost like a compression attack where the attack of the compressor is a little bit too slow, and you get that really sharp kind of sound. Listen to this again, and just listen to that sound of the wood hitting the metal. It's not really a cymbal sound. It's almost like the cymbal's on a piece of carpet and we're just hitting the cymbal. It's a very dead but very attack sharp sound that may be useful in a mix. Okay, so we've gone over how the angle changes the sound of the cymbal, but another thing that you might want to consider, and this comes up in the Glenn Johns technique, is that when you have when you have a microphone that low, you're actually getting crossed by that knoll of the cymbal, the edge of the cymbal. And as the edge actually rocks past the microphone, there's actually a very quick moment where the volume dips. So this is a cool effect, but not so much when you're trying to create a stereo image of a kit. Because, say in the Glenn Johns technique, we have one microphone that's down low like this. We have one microphone overhead. That overhead mic is getting a very consistent volume from the cymbals. But the microphone that's down low, it has these momentary dips as the cymbal rocks. So if it's just like a panning, if you turn down the volume of, say, the right side, all of a sudden, it'll seem like the cymbal pan to the left and then back again. So each rock of the cymbal actually pans left to right, left to right. Okay, so far we've talked about how to approach the cymbals with the angle. So we're going to come down from the top. We know also we can avoid this crazy panning effect by keeping our mics high. So let's check out this kind of a basic spaced pair. We just measure each microphone equidistant to the center of the snare drum. Okay, so the next thing we could try with this is that if your microphone has the ability to shift into other polar patterns, then this tip actually is really helpful. Now, these M179s are something that I used for overheads for a while. I just didn't have like a good matched pair of large diaphragms for overheads. And if you can go into a more wider polar pattern, so coming from cardioid, go to the subcardioid, or even go to omni, you may think, well, that's going to get too much room. And it might. You might have to move your mics a little bit closer to the kit. But the key thing here is to capture a little bit more of the low mids and the lows from the drums. Going into the more omni side of things will help to really warm these microphones up. They're a lot less aggressive in the top end, and they're more fuller in the low end. So let me show you what I mean. We'll go kind of the three extremes. We'll go to the figure 8, which will be the most thinnest sound on these mics today. Then we'll go to cardioid, which is the example we just heard. And then we'll go to omnidirectional. So yeah, that's one thing you can try. If you have small diaphragms, sometimes you can exchange the cardioid for an omni capsule that may give you a little bit more fullness in the middle to low middle frequencies. Or large diaphragms, you can just simply swing it towards the omnidirectional polar pattern, or just go to omni. Now, obviously this isn't like a ribbon, right? Like it's not quite as warm as a ribbon. This is really the third thing. I mean, if you have this option, this is the ultimate. This is really how to get the most tone and fullness out of the drums and really balance the drums with the cymbals. We're not just getting cymbals just, bashing up into the mics. We're really balancing out the kit here so that we have actually a pretty good general sense of the kit. The kit is sonically balanced between the drums and the cymbals. Check it out, the same setup, same spaced pair, but with an AEA N8 pair. Okay, so the ribbons are a totally different story. But you can see that shifting a large diaphragm into like an omnidirectional polar pattern gives us a little bit of that effect, okay? And for years, that's what I did. I had the R88 for a while, but occasionally I wanted to use like a Glenn John setup or something that I just want to experiment with some large diaphragms. Maybe it suited the session better. And so I had to do this. I had to put my large diaphragm mics, the M179s, into Omni. It actually made it pretty doable. Okay, so that's kind of my top 3 things of how I make sure the cymbals aren't too harsh. I'm able to balance the kit, get the most out of the overheads. So yeah, I'd love to know what you think of this. I'll be hanging out in the comments below.